Fifth day of the course. We'll begin by chanting the prayers. 𝐕𝐴𝐺𝐴𝐻𝐻 𝐵𝐾𝐠𝐺𝑎𝑛𝑎ञ्जनशलाकaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। We are studying the book Spiritual Connection, and today we are going to discuss chapter number 4. This chapter tells us a very interesting story. If you have read this book or are reading this book and have come to chapter 4, you'll find this story quite interesting. So it's a story taken from Mahabharata, and it's between Upamanyu and Dhaumya Rishi. Dhaumya Rishi was also the spiritual master of the Pandavas. So, in the story, it's a pretty simple story, and only these two characters are involved majorly. Upamanyu is a disciple serving at the ashram of his guru. Perhaps he is a student and is going through the education at the Gurukul. So, Dhaumya Rishi, being the spiritual master, has given him a task that every day you have to go to the forest, take the cows along with you and make them, graze. So he would do that job every day. One day, Dhaumya called him and said, "My dear disciple, I'm not able to understand, how are you growing so fat? You're becoming very plumpy. You are working hard throughout the day. So you should be, losing weight, becoming lean and thin. Why is that you are gaining weight?" So Upamanyu says, "Well, I go for grazing the cows and I also go for begging for alms. So whatever I beg for, I eat that." And Dhaumya Rishi says, "This is very bad. You're not supposed to eat what you beg. You're supposed to give that to your guru because you're begging for the guru, not that you're begging for yourself." And Upamanyu accepts that instruction of Dhaumya Rishi. All right, as you say. Still, after a few days, Dhaumya observes that Upamanyu is continuing to gain weight. And Dhaumya thinks, I don't feed him food and it's a Vedic injunction. If the spiritual master is not feeding the disciple, or the guru is not feeding the disciple, then the disciple should fast, rather than finding his or her own ways of arranging for food. So Dhaumya Rishi is thinking, I'm not feeding him, and I asked him to not also eat the alms that he was collecting. How is he still maintaining himself? So he calls Upamanyu and says, what are you doing these days? Upamanyu says, well, I go for begging, and whatever I beg, I give to you. Then I go for a second round. And what I get in the second round, that I eat. So Dhaumya said, that's very bad of you, because in a small place, there are a fixed number of householders who provide, and there are a fixed number of sadhus who beg. Now, if you go beg for second time, probably there are going to be sadhus who will not get their share, because you will take more than what is your share, your quota, and then there'll be people who will not get their share, their quota. That's very bad. You should not deprive them of their share. So don't do that. Stop doing that. And moreover, if you do this, it will make you greedy. So you don't do this. And Upamanyu said, all right, fine, I agree with you. He did not complain, he did not grudge, he did not say, if I don't beg for second time, how am I going to eat? He accepted the instruction faithfully. It may not be easy to accept such instructions, but Upamanyu did accept that instruction. And after a few days, again, the spiritual master calls him and said, my dear son, there is something wrong. You are still fat. How do you maintain? And he says, well, I take the cows for grazing, and the cows give some milk, so I drink that milk. And Dhaumya said, again, you are doing a mistake. That milk is not your property. The cows belong to Guru. So the milk also belongs to Guru. So you should bring the milk back. And moreover, that milk is supposed to be offered as bhoga to the Supreme Lord. Why are you stealing the property of the Supreme Lord? And Upamanyu said, okay, I won't do that as well. Fourth call of the Guru. Upamanyu, what are you eating these days? And Upamanyu says, after the calves have taken the milk from the udder of the cows, if you have seen calf drinking milk, you would have noticed that there is some kind of froth that leaves, that is there on the mouth of the calves. So he says, I lick off that froth. And because in those days the milk was really, really pure, the froth would also have been very pure. So by licking off that froth, I am so healthy. And Dhaumya said, this is very bad. Stop doing this also. Upamanyu says, okay, fine. Now, every time Dhaumya Rishi gave Upamanyu an instruction of a higher level. I mean, the test was getting tougher and tougher and tougher. Initially, he said, don't eat. Second time, he said, don't eat, the lesser amount. When you go for the second round of begging, the amount of food collected would be lesser. So don't eat that. Then after that, don't drink milk also. And then don't eat the froth. How much is the amount of froth that one can lick off the mouth of calves? Very little. Still he said no. And Upamanyu agreed for that, which means the tests were made difficult, and Upamanyu agreed to appear for each of those tests. So one day, you can imagine now, someone is not eating for days, that person will get a little weak. So one day while he was doing his job of grazing the cows in the forest, he was feeling very hungry. And at that time, he lost good sense. His intelligence stopped working. So in the rush of the moment, he plucked some leaves from a nearby plant. That plant happened to be poisonous. 𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴 plant. So he took some leaves and ate those leaves in order to satisfy the burning heat in the stomach. And as soon as he ate those leaves, he became blind. His eyesight went off. Now he was not able to see, make out, though it was sun was still there in the sky, everything became dark in front of him. And now wandering aimlessly, striking to different objects onto his path, he was somehow trying to reach back, but he could not find the way, and he fell into a deep, dark well. When he fell into that well, he started cursing himself. You see, I did not follow the instruction of my spiritual master, so I ended in such a big trouble. The sun began to set. Dhaumya was waiting at the ashram. Every day my disciple goes out, but he comes back on time. Today it's late night, he has not yet come. What's wrong? He was not able to sleep well. So the next morning, Dhaumya Rishi reaches out. He's wandering in the forest, calling out, Upamanyu, Upamanyu, where are you? And Upamanyu, when he hears the voice, he says, Gurudev, Gurudev, I'm here, please help me. I'm in this deep, dark well. So Dhaumya comes to the edge of the well and says, my dear disciple, how did you fall into that well? One sadhu was giving a lecture on this story. So he said, if Upamanyu was a disciple from Kali Yuga, he would have questioned back the Guru. It's all because of you I am into this well. If you had not given me that instruction, I would not have ended up in this well. Why did you give me such a stupid instruction? But Upamanyu did not say so. He said, I am in this well because of my mistake. What is my mistake? I did not follow your order. You told me not to eat anything, but I ate that poisonous leaf, and that's why I'm in here. So I should not have done that blunder. So Dhaumya Rishi said, okay, I will now try to help you. So he gave him a mantra from Rig Veda, and he said, you chant this mantra. When you chant this mantra, Ashwini Kumars will come, the demigods who are physicians. They are twins and they're physicians. So they will come. These Ashwini Kumars are the people who actually became Sahadev and Nakula in Mahabharata. So that's why Sahadev and Nakula also had a lot of knowledge of medicinal herbs. They knew how to cure people. So Ashwini Kumaras would come and they will give you the eyesight and you'll be all okay. So Upamanyu thanked his guru and said, thank you so much, you helped me. And then he chanted the mantras. As soon as he chanted the mantras, Ashwini Kumaras descended. And they told Upamanyu, we are very happy with your sincerity. And please take this cake. You eat this cake, you will gain your eyesight. When they gave that cake to Upamanyu, Upamanyu took that cake, but he did not eat. So Ashwini Kumaras asked him, what's wrong? Why are you not eating? This is the solution to your problem. And Upamanyu said, do you want me to do the same mistake again? I, without taking permission of my guru, ate those leaves, and because of that I am in this trouble. Now you want me to do the same mistake that I eat this cake without the permission of my guru? Ashwini Kumar said, come on, your guru gave you the mantra and because of that you called us. Now we are giving you the cake. It's all arrangement of your guru. And Upamanyu said, no, nothing doing. He told me not to eat anything. So then Ashwini Kumaras, they wanted to test Upamanyu further. They told Upamanyu, let me tell you something from past. When your guru Dhaumya was a disciple and he was serving in the ashram of his guru also put him through a similar test. And Dhaumya Rishi failed in that test. So his guru gave him the mantra which your guru gave you now. Dhaumya called us, we came, we gave him the cake and he ate without taking permission of his guru. So you follow your guru's example, you also eat. And Upamanyu said at that time that you are giving me a good advice, but I cannot follow it. Why? Because even if my guru did a mistake, he is guru and I'm disciple. I cannot do that mistake. Maybe he has the power to do such things. I don't have. So please, you can go away from here. Without taking permission of my guru, I cannot eat. So Ashwini Kumaras became very happy looking at the faithfulness and loyalty of Upamanyu. So they said, don't worry, we are so happy with you. You will get your eyesight back. He got his eyesight back. And when he went back and told Dhaumya the whole story, Dhaumya was so pleased. He said, you have been very faithful to my instructions. So I bless you double, that you become fully successful in life. May you have good fortune. Very interesting story. Now, this story tells us that it tells us many things which happens in the life of a disciple. First is that a disciple is tested by the spiritual master or guru, just like any student is tested by the teacher. So a disciple is tested by the guru. Second, what we learn is the tests, they become more difficult and difficult, because when you're progressing, then you are going to higher and higher stages, which means the examination level should also be higher and higher, right? And the third thing is that sometimes in life, while following the instruction of the spiritual master, one may have to take risks. And those risks are based on faith. You don't know what's going to be the outcome, but because you have faith that the instruction is coming from a trustworthy source, you put faith in that instruction and execute that instruction. That's like taking a risk. So there are such lessons hidden here. Now, one very important thing that we observe in the behavior of Upamanyu is that when he was being asked by his guru to do such things, he did not exhibit the different kinds of consciousness or different levels of consciousness which a disciple may exhibit. First of all, nowhere Upamanyu expressed that the instructions of his guru were impractical. That it's not possible for me to do such things. Like, stop eating completely, right? Or even not eat that cake without taking the permission of the guru. Second, nowhere do we also see that Upamanyu became angry on his spiritual master. In the modern times, it's a common sight that the students in schools and universities get angry on the teachers or professors. But here we don't see Upamanyu do that. Third, neither Upamanyu ever expressed that this is too much. I don't want to continue with this guru. Let me leave this guru, go to another guru. Or let me leave the service of this guru. Resign. Right? No. Fourth, he did not become skeptical about his guru's intentions. Sometimes it happens that a person may start thinking that the other person is no more kind towards me, or the other person is not really a genuine well-wisher of mine. The other person doesn't want me to make progress in life. The other person doesn't think about my well-being. So here Upamanyu is not thinking like that. Why is Dhaumya Rishi giving me such kind of instructions and not telling the other disciples to follow those things? Why me only? I have to give this kind of test, and why not other disciples or other students? And finally, he did not doubt his guru's purity, that my guru is not so pure because he is not giving me instructions which I would like to receive from him. He doesn't know my heart. He's not connected to the Supreme Lord. And because he's not connected to the Supreme Lord, he doesn't know how to guide me well. He did not show those kinds of faithlessness, those symptoms of faithlessness or doubting mentality. He was weak. He could not follow the instructions perfectly, but he never doubted the character of his guru, right? The intention of his guru. He never doubted that. Correct? So we learn that from Upamanyu. Now, this is a very important and interesting chapter. Here we have a shloka from Caitanya Caritamrita, where Lord Ramachandra is telling, Nirvicharam Guru Ragya Maya Karya Mahatmanaham Sheho hi evam bhavatyascha mama chaiva visheshataha. Lord Ram said, Nirvicharam, the order of the spiritual master must be executed without consideration, because there is good fortune in such an order for both of us. In particular, there is good fortune for me. If one has not accepted someone as a spiritual master, then one has the right to doubt the instructions or the statements of that person. But if within our mind and heart, we have accepted someone as a spiritual master, and we have declared that, and we have expressed that even to the spiritual master, then we have no right to doubt again, right? So those who have done ISKCON Disciple course, they might remember it was mentioned there that before you accept someone as your guru, you test that person for 1 year. And that person will also test you for 1 year. Now, after that 1 year period of testing is done, then no more tests by the disciple. Guru's test will continue, but no more tests by the disciple. Not that whole life we are testing the guru, whether my guru is pure or not, whether my guru knows it well or not, whether my guru understands me or not. No, it's just a waste of time then, isn't it? Right? So 1 year is their period of testing. That time one can thoroughly test, ask questions, clarify everything. But after I have decided, no, this person is really, really qualified to take me back to Krishna, then no more doubting, no more judging. Then one accepts the instructions with faith, even if one does not understand them. But the beauty is that time will reveal the importance of those instructions. Time will reveal. So Lord Ramachandra is saying that one must execute without consideration because there is good fortune in such an order for both of us. Caitanya Caritamrita Madhya Leela 10.146. So let us now discuss why are the instructions of the spiritual master to be followed in the spirit of as it is. We are given some instructions. So why should we follow it accurately, correctly, thoroughly, and in the same way as we have been told? And if you don't follow so, what will be the outcome? What will be our experience then? So you can raise your hand or put the answer in the chat box. Either way, whichever you feel is comfortable and convenient for you. Why one should follow them as it is?
Prabhuji, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Prabhuji, once we accept somebody as our guru, so guru means you have accepted him as your spiritual master or as your Shiksha Guru or Diksha Guru, and whatever knowledge that he's imparting onto us, whatever instructions that he's imparting onto us, we have faith in that and we accept it. So we have to follow it the way it's being given to us. That's the reason we've accepted him as our guru. That's the meaning of guru.
Okay.
And if we are not able to do that, that means he's not the guru in the true sense.
Or we have not accepted.
That means yeah. So that means that it's only superficially that we are calling him our guru. If we truly accept him as a guru from our heart, we follow what he says.
Yes.
We need to have faith.
All right. Thank you. So next, Tina Mataji says the guru is direct representative of Krishna. Correct. Aruna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we should take the instructions of the spiritual master and follow it in the spirit of as it is, because we have a limited intelligence. With our limited intelligence, we cannot, sometimes know why our spiritual master is telling us to do something. So in that way, we should not be skeptical or use our own, sense of decision making or sense of speculation to decide whether we should follow or not, because our intelligence is very, very limited as compared to what a spiritual master is.
Yeah. You see, we are having a particular vantage point, and the spiritual master, being situated on a higher level of consciousness, has another vantage point. From his vantage point, what he is seeing now, we are not able to see. But after executing those instructions, when in due course of time, we are also elevated to that vantage point, then we'll be able to see, oh, this instruction helped me to rise so much in my spiritual life. But at our present situation, we may not be able to. So like Madhuri said, from our tiny intelligence, we may not be able to understand and appreciate the value of those instructions. But maybe in future, we'll be able to see, oh, this was done by my spiritual master so that in future, when I would be in a particular situation, I'll be able to handle my life problems more easily. I'll be strong, I'll be steady, right? So seeing that, the Guru also gives us instructions. Annapurna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. We have agreed to be, we must follow the instructions of the Guru as it is, because we have agreed to be disciplined by Guru. And following the instructions, it means we are following the instructions, so we are being disciplined by the Guru. And also it helps us to maintain synergy with our Guru, because by following the instructions, we would grow whatever the Guru decides us to grow, in whichever way we should grow.
All right.
Knowing our position.
Yes. So we have, when we say we are disciple, we have accepted to be disciplined. So how do you get disciplined? By following the instructions, you get disciplined. That's why you follow, right? Not following the Guru means not following the instructions of Krishna, so which is indirectly disobeying Krishna, or not accepting the help of Krishna, because Krishna's help is going to come to us through the help of the Guru or spiritual master. Krishna may not directly help us, may indirectly help us, but sometimes we don't accept that, though we should be, right? And another thing, some example is given in the book, that if you go to a doctor and the doctor gives you a prescription, if you don't follow the prescription fully, it's the patient who is going to suffer, not the doctor. Like sometimes people do that. They will either not take the medicines or take the medicines the way they like. Isn't it? The doctor will say full tablet and they'll divide the tablet into 4 parts and say, I'll take only 1 part. So this way, the person will not get the complete benefit. So this is needed. Correct? So it has to be accepted as it is, with little faith that even though I may not be able to intellectually understand how is it going to help me, it will help me. It will benefit me. Okay. So while we accept the instruction of the spiritual master, we have to follow the spirit which is given in Bhagavad Gita. 𝐕𝐴𝐺𝐴𝐚 buddhir ekeha kurunandana bahushakha yanantascha buddhayo 𝐕𝐴𝐺𝐴. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. So one should follow the instruction with one-pointed intelligence, not being distracted. Oh, beloved child of the Gurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. So one should have a resolute purpose, that this is a definitely good thing for me to do and I'm going to do it with 100% faith, dedication. So it will give you 100% result also. Otherwise, it will give you 90%, 80%, 50%, 10%, 2% result, right? So that kind of attitude actually helps us also experience the real success in Krishna consciousness. It is said, I mean, even people who are successful in mundane perspective, they say that you should, if you have decided to do something, you should do it 100%. Then you get success also 100%. So similarly, if I have decided to follow a particular spiritual path, then I should do it 100%, fully. In Gita, Krishna says that for the doubting soul, there is no happiness in this life, neither in the next life. For one who doubts, right? No happiness, because that person won't be either here or there. So we'll see some examples of how people or devotees, they actually took to such spirit of service to spiritual master. Recently on Prabhupada's appearance day, I was sharing this story in a group of devotees. Very heart-touching story. Srila Prabhupada, after he took to Vanaprastha, which means he had left his family life, and he was living in Delhi as well as in Mathura, Vrindavan. He was struggling to collect funds to print, magazines, books, stuff like that. So one day, one person, a judge, I don't remember whether it was a High Court judge or a Supreme Court judge, but a quite respectable person, saw Srila Prabhupada and told him, promised him that, Swamiji, every month I'll give you 10 rupees. So you come to my house and collect 10 rupees. And with those 10 rupees, you can support yourself. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada would, once he went all the way from Vrindavan to Delhi to collect those 10 rupees. And he got those 10 rupees. Now, if you are proposed something like that, and first time experience was good, so you will definitely depend on that person for the second time also. So second time also, Srila Prabhupada makes a visit, now travels all the way from Vrindavan to Delhi. Now also at present time, it takes usually 2.5 hours to travel from Vrindavan to Delhi. Whether you go by road or you take the train. In those days, it must be taking a little more time, 3 hours, 4 hours. So in the early morning, he left, which means he had not eaten anything, empty stomach he left. He comes to see that person. That person has a big villa. So Srila Prabhupada is standing in front of the gate. And when he meets the caretaker of the house, he comes to know that the boss is out and probably he'll come back late in the evening. So Srila Prabhupada said, oh, he left, but he had promised me that every month I can come on this date and collect the money. Did he leave the money with you? And the caretaker said, no, he did not leave any money with me. But you can wait, he will come back for sure, and then you can take your money. So Srila Prabhupada said, okay, I'll wait. So he was standing in front of the gate in the bright sun, waiting when will this person come back and I'll collect those 10 rupees. Very close to that apartment, that villa, was a Gaudiya Math. Gaudiya Math is the name of the institute which was started by Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So they had Gaudiya Math centers all over India. So there was a Gaudiya Math close by. And a sannyasi resident of that Gaudiya Math was passing by on the same road, riding a bicycle. So when he was riding the bicycle, his eyes fell on Srila Prabhupada. And he was able to identify this is Abhay Babu. So he was thinking, what is Abhay Babu doing here? It's such a bright sun, hot day, and he's standing there. So he thought maybe he has some business. He left. After 3 hours, when he was returning again on the cycle, riding the cycle, he saw Prabhupada is still standing there and he's full of sweat. So then he thought to stop by and ask. He asked Prabhupada, what are you doing? Whom are you waiting for? I saw you in the morning. What brought you here? And Prabhupada said, well, this person promised me he'll give me 10 rupees. So I'm here for that. So this sannyasi, he saw Srila Prabhupada's situation, his condition. He was not having proper clothes, in the sense his dhoti kurta was very old. It had become dirty. There were holes in it. And he could also see that Prabhupada was not eating sufficiently. He had become very bony. So he felt some compassion upon Prabhupada's situation, condition. He took 10 rupees from his pocket and he said, Abhay Babu, don't torture yourself so much. Take this 10 rupees from me, and every month, instead of taking 10 rupees from this person, you take the 10 rupees from me. In fact, I'll send it to you. You don't have to come all the way from Vrindavan to Delhi to collect 10 rupees. I'll give you 10 rupees every month. This much I can do for you. And then looking at the very poor condition of Srila Prabhupada, he took 5 rupees extra and he said, buy yourself some new clothes. These are very old. You know what Prabhupada did with those 15 rupees? He had not eaten for days. He did not have proper clothes. and he could have taken a luxurious ride back to Vrindavan. He straight away went to the printer and he said, after so many weeks, I've got money. So use this money to print magazine, to spread Krishna consciousness. Now, this is called one-pointed intelligence, fixed intelligence, resolute in purpose. I have to do it and I'll do it no matter what comes in life, right? So great personalities, they show that level of determination. This is heights of determination. I know why Prabhupada did so, because he got one instruction from his spiritual master. And what was that instruction? Whenever you get money, print books. Now, when I was reading this pastime, I was thinking, if anyone of us, or let's say if I was in that position and my guru tells me, when you get money, print books, I would perhaps think, okay, when I get some extra money, then I'll print books. First I should have somebody to, myself be situated nicely, have a healthy body, good clothes to wear, a nice house, everything should be good. Then extra money, if Krishna gives me surplus amount, then I'll use that for printing books. But here, Srila Prabhupada took that instruction literally, that whenever you get money, you print books. So he got those 15 rupees and he printed magazines with that to spread Krishna consciousness. We cannot imitate such great personalities. Their determination and the qualities they exhibit are of paramount, quality, splendor. That's too high. But we can take inspiration. We can take inspiration. That kind of attitude is actually needed. So some more examples, like Srila Prabhupada's disciple Bhakti Tirth Swami Maharaj. He and every day when he would go to bed, he would actually ask this question to himself, as if talking to Srila Prabhupada. Was there anything you wanted me to do today that I have not done? Did I not complete any of the tasks that you wanted me to do? And this is when Srila Prabhupada has already left the planet. But still, the disciple is asking the Guru, maybe something I missed, so can you please help me understand? And we also see that in another disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, he writes that in one of his letters to Srila Prabhupada, he writes, my humble apology for not having written a letter to you since so many days. And this is again when Srila Prabhupada has left the world. It's not that he's writing a letter which will physically reach Srila Prabhupada, right? He's writing a letter to his Guru every day and says, my humble apology for not having written a letter to you since so many days. So here we are seeing some examples of that attitude, following the Guru's order as it is. So tests, not talking about tests. Why there are tests, what they are for and what they are not for. Why there should be anything like a test, how it helps anyone, the student, the follower. So what is the answer for that? There can be many points for this particular question.
To assess our own level.
To evaluate ourselves, our level, how much have I understood, isn't it? So tests are for self-evaluation, actually. It gives you a better idea of how much you grasp the subject, what was your level of understanding. And those who are sincere students, they appreciate tests for that purpose, isn't it? That did I really understand the subject well? Neha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. And also they will, because their intelligence is being tested, they will try to improve themselves. If they are failing, they will try to improve.
Okay, yeah, fine. So there will
be
try to improve.
There will be improvement in the...
So they know about their current state and then they would like to improve, go beyond that, right? Go to the next level.
Test is for improvement.
Yeah, same thing spoken by Vijay and Prabhu. So there can be improvement. What mistakes did I do and I learned from my mistakes? Aruna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, tests are very much important so that, of course, as Hanit Mataji said, to assess ourselves, and in the same way, we need to progress. So we can also progress. So we are not at the same plateau level. If we are applying our intelligence at a certain level 1, and we know, okay, now we have crossed the level 1, and how in order to progress, we'll need to go through many advancing level of test.
Correct.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Thank you. So tests are basically to give us opportunities to become ready for the next level. Tests are there tests are also there for the teacher to decide now how nicely the student is accepting the teachings. What is the speed of the student? What is the ability of the student? How much more can be taught? At what speed it can be taught? So it helps the teacher to also do his or her service to the student in a better manner. Because of evaluation, the teacher understands better about the student. And it gives us an opportunity, when we talk about tests in life, it gives us an opportunity to put into practice what we have learned theoretically, isn't it? So we are not just talking about tests that we do as a written examination, but in general in life, when we talk about tests, then we have heard so much, learned so much, read so much, but what about application? We'll be tested at the time of crisis in our life, difficulties in our life, in situations when our faith will be questioned. That time, are we able to still remain faithful? So it helps us to put into practice what we have learned, right? They act as stepping stones so that we rise to the next level of spiritual understanding. Like in school also, one is tested, evaluated, then promoted. Now you are ready to go to the next level. You can learn the next level. So in spiritual life, it brings benediction, it brings promotion, it brings empowerment to the disciple. And of course, it's not meant to scare us or fail us. No teacher will make the paper in such a way that the students fail. Never, ever. Because the teacher wants the student to pass. But this paper is meant to test how much the student has understood. Has the student really understood, or the student has just learned or memorized the subject matter, right? And it is an opportunity to show our level of sincerity as well. So the real test comes when the teacher is away. Similarly, in the life of a disciple, the real test comes when the guru or spiritual master is away. So for you, it will be a very helpful, what do you say, observation that I would like to share, that any genuine spiritual master will never spend too much time with his disciple. Because they want to put the disciple in that phase where the spiritual master is away and the disciple's sincerity is tested. Because the spiritual master knows one day will come when I'll be physically separated because of death. And at that moment, what will the disciple do? Isn't it? So preparing the disciple for those moments, for those days, for those weeks, years, the spiritual master puts the disciple in those situations where the disciple is tested by being away from the disciple. So here, Prabhupada makes a very wonderful statement in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, shloka 34 purport. He says, one must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. And when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. Kali Yuga is full of cheaters. And those who are great saints, teachers, gurus, they know this. Because of that, they are very careful that superficially they are giving the message, the teaching, the gospel to everyone. But they know very well that not everyone sitting in the audience are going to take the statement seriously. So now they have to filter, filter the good students from the bad students. And then after the filtering has done, the filtration is done, then invest the real spiritual energy, time, efforts, resources into those students who are genuine, and not waste one's time with those who are not genuine. So the spiritual master, by putting the disciples into test, comes to know, okay, this student of mine is very sincere. I need to really give more attention, more time, more energy, more investment, because this person will take the best use of what I am trying to give. But the others, they are simply wasting my time. So I should not let them do that. So in this way, then the spiritual master is able to understand, and then the spiritual master gives those students or disciples genuine spiritual understanding, which the spiritual master will not give to everyone. Tests are to prepare us. This is something which is very nice. Srila Bhakti Swami Maharaj says, there are two kinds of exams one goes through in school or college. Some exams are scheduled. You already know on this date, at this time, we'll have a test. And then some exams are surprise exams or surprise. The teacher will just come into the school classroom and say, today we have an exam. And the student goes, what? Today is an exam? We did not know about it. So those are surprise tests, but those surprise tests help the teacher and even the students to judge better, much better. Where are the students? What are they doing? Are they really studying or not? And in life, you don't have scheduled exams. Life gives you surprise tests only, most of the time. So they come without any pre-information. When we pass those exams, we become prepared then to face the ultimate exam, the ultimate surprise test, which is death. No one knows when death is going to come, but it will come. So the spiritual master, by letting the students or disciples pass through tests, is preparing them with this consciousness that life is a game. And there is nothing certain about it. So you should be always on your toes. Anything can happen in my life. I should be prepared even for the worst moments or situations, right? In my consciousness, so that, let's say, someone meets an accident, someone falls off a cliff, someone gets shot, someone becomes very ill and enters into coma, whatever may happen. My consciousness should be so pure and crystal clear that at that moment also I am able to remember Krishna and go back to God. Right? So that's why the spiritual master will put the disciple into such situations where one will feel the urgency to take shelter of Krishna. Final test. If one has not been trained to move through the conflicts in life, to see Krishna's merciful hand in all kinds of trying situations, and to remember the lovingness of Krishna at all moments, at the moment of death, the most difficult test of one's life, one will not be able to positively direct one's devotional consciousness to Krishna. Because one will get panicked. One will get really, really scared. In our life, if small problems come, we get so much panicked. Now, what about death? We'll be so much more panicked. And in that state of panic, it's very difficult to remember anything that you want to remember. You'll be just, or we will be just, bombarded with all different kinds of thoughts flowing in from this life, from our many, many previous lives. And we'll have so many images going on in our mind, and we'll not be able to focus on one thing. So, because the Guru knows that moment is going to come for sure in everyone's life, in order to help us prepare for that moment, the Guru makes us go through such situations of, trouble, panic during the life. These are tests where we, because of experience, begin to learn how in those difficult moments also to take shelter of Krishna. when everything is nice, it's easy to do other things like chanting, reading of books, studying Bhagavad Gita, or going to the temple, celebrating a festival. But when things are not going nice, then it's going to be difficult to do any of these things. Chanting will be difficult. Going to the temple will be difficult. Doing one's seva will be difficult, right? At that time, all these things will not be fun. When we are healthy, all these things are fun. But at that time, it will not be fun. At that time, all these things will be austerity, tapasya, penance. So how to do that? By going through these tests. Now, what happens when you pass any test? Let's say you appeared for a test and you passed. What happens? What does it leave on you? How does it help us when we pass a test? Neha.
We feel confident of ourselves.
Very good. Yeah, we feel confident. I could pass, then I can also pass the next one. Isn't it? Generally, you must have seen students who are good performers in school, like they score very well. It's seen that once they start scoring well, then they're always scoring well, because they become very confident. Now I know how to score well, and this confidence gives them a boost. Then they stop doing silly mistakes and they are not nervous. They don't have exam fear, right? They are very composed, stable. So it helps. You are ready for the next level, correct? You are motivated. It also increases your confidence in the teacher, not just confidence in yourself. It also helps you develop more faith in the teacher, that this teacher is nice. He or she taught me the subject well. I prepared well and I could pass with such marks, nice marks. So next time I would like to have the same teacher to teach me. So similarly, if we pass the test of the Guru, our confidence will increase in the Guru as well as our confidence will increase in ourselves. It will also increase our faith in the process, the path that we have taken. Then I've chosen the right path. Why? Because I'm succeeding on this path. Isn't it? So this is the right path. I'm succeeding on this path. I don't have to go to another path now. And more along with that, when you pass the test, it also helps you increase your understanding of the subject. Soon, if you are passing and passing and passing, and if you are not overconfident, proud, you are humble, then tests no longer remain a burden to you. It rather becomes an adventure and fun. It becomes a source of excitement. When is the next test coming? Just like when you play video games, you don't become scared of the next level. If you cross one level, then there's excitement. What is the next level? What will be the challenge in the next level? Right? You are excited about it. And how will you cross over? So then that's what happens. That's what develops in the thinking of the person. So tests are very nice if seen positively. Then there is another very interesting thing mentioned in the book, recurring tests. If during our practice of Krishna consciousness, we find that a certain challenge persists in our life and we are forced to face it again and again, which means like there'll be some problem which will come again and again to you. We should take it as a signal that we have not passed a particular test. Since we have not passed it, it is recurring. Just like in a school, if you appear for an exam, you don't pass, you're given a second attempt, third attempt, fourth attempt. And till the time you don't cross, you are not promoted. Likewise, in our consciousness, will not be promoted until unless we pass a particular level. And how do you pass that particular level is based on a particular problem, your own problem, your inner problem. It can be dealing with anger, it can be dealing with pride, it can be dealing with envy, it can be dealing with greed, it can be dealing with lust, it can be dealing with, our mental weaknesses. So if you don't overcome them, they will come again and again. They will return back after 2 weeks, after a month, after 2 months. When you are totally unexpecting it, it will come again. So what happens is that life puts us in situations where we fail. We then feel a bit guilty about it. Some resentment is there. Oh, what mistake did I do? Why did I fail? You remember it for 1 or 2 days and then you forget. And then you start thinking, now everything is normal. And then what happens is, without you getting any clue about it, that situation will come again in life. And we fail again. And we fail again. So those situations are basically reminders you have not overcome a particular obstacle. Something is there inside which you have not overcome. You have not gone to the next level. So often we might become disgusted with such situations, but we should understand that these situations are indications from higher powers for us to retrospect and consciously prepare to pass the test we have not yet passed. After a test is passed, we are promoted to a higher level where that test will be gone, but a more difficult test awaits us. In this way, we constantly make progress. We keep on going ahead, step by step. So next thing. Now, we all mentioned in the beginning of the class, Upamanyu had to take a risk to follow the instruction of his spiritual master. So what should we do if there is some risk involved? Should we go for the easier path, the shortcut, or tell the spiritual master, give me a more practical instruction for me? What should we do? How much risk can be taken? Why should we take risk if we have to take risk? There has to be some risk factor. It is always there in life. If you want to grow in life, you have to take risk, right? So yes, I need Mataji.
Prabhuji, we should take the risk because the fact that the spiritual master is giving us a test and giving us that level of test means the spiritual master knows our level to some extent, and the spiritual master maybe wants us also to have confidence in our level at that time, because as you very rightly said, that no teacher gives a test in where the teacher wants the student to fail. So the spiritual master will give a test because the spiritual master knows our level. So he knows that we can take the risk and we should take the risk. And that's why we should not ask for a maybe a easier or a more practical. We should abide by whatever test or whatever instruction the spiritual master has given.
Correct. Very true. So the thing is that the tests are not randomly thrown upon us. They are planned. And that is done on the basis of the understanding what is the level of this program. The spiritual master will never give us a test in which we have to break our bones. No, never. We'll always be realistic. But because it is for you to get promoted to the next level, there will always be some risk factor in it. Some risk factor. Just like when you're climbing a mountain, as you go higher and higher, there's always a risk. The risk is always there to fall. And the more you go higher, the amount of damage you are going to do when you fall or slip off is going to be greater. So the risk factor keeps on increasing as we go higher and higher and higher. So risk factor will always be there, right? We cannot say there won't be any risk. It has to be there, right? So yes, Prabhupada took the risk of going overseas. So one has to take the risk. And Prabhupada writes here in the Bhagavad Gita 11.55. There are many examples in histories of devotees of the Lord who risk their lives for the spreading of God consciousness. The favorite example is Lord Jesus Christ. He was crucified by the non-devotees, but he sacrificed his life for spreading God consciousness. He took a big risk, a huge amount of risk, right? We may not have to take such a risk, but we still have to take some risk, bona fide risks, right? Reasonable risks, which will help us to grow in our spiritual life. Taking bona fide risk gives us these benefits. It helps us cultivate dependence upon Krishna, right? When I take a risk, instead of depending on my own intelligence and my material resources, facilities, I depend on Krishna. I'm forced to depend on Krishna because that situation goes out of my hand. So then I put myself in Krishna's hand and then depend on Krishna to help me out of that situation. Second, it increases our faith in Krishna's protection. If Krishna protects us in that situation, our faith will increase. Oh yes, Krishna protects, Krishna provides, Krishna takes care, Krishna gives shelter. Third, we become more surrendered devotee as a consequence of it. And fourth, it helps us give up false shelters of this world. We learn to depend more on Krishna than to depend on other things which are not dependable. So that's why one should take risk. It is to cultivate the spirit that Krishna will protect me no matter what comes in my life. And for that, one has to put oneself in that situation where Krishna has a scope to give protection. Right? Otherwise, Krishna will have no scope to give protection. So finally, a summary lesson from this chapter. The spiritual master puts us to different tests to upgrade us so that we become qualified in learning higher lessons of bhakti and thus eventually advance towards the supreme perfection, love of Godhead. And those who are making progress, they'll be happily welcoming these tests. And those who are not making progress are stuck. For them, the test will become bothersome. That really, it's very painful. I don't want it. I don't like it. It's too much. But those who are actually making progress, they will enjoy. They will relish, in that opportunity that I'm getting closer to Krishna day by day. I'm moving closer to Krishna. And these tests are put by the spiritual master. These tests are also put up by the super soul, Paramatma. Because Paramatma is also one of the spiritual masters. So the Paramatma will also put us in those situations. We should know one thing, like, for example, I'll give you a simple example to explain. When a child is just learning to stand or walk, sometimes what does the parent do? The child is close to the parent. So the parent will lift the child and walk few steps and put the child at the corner of the room. And the parent will then walk back to the previous spot where they were sitting together, right? And then the parent will tell the child, now you try to come closer to me. Walk towards me. So then the child will try, will stand, will fall, will crawl, right? And if the child has learned to run, then the child will also run, and then will finally jump into the embrace of the father. So the father is doing all this, or the mother is doing all this just to make the child more strong, and also to increase the loving attachment. His own attachment towards the child and the child's attachment towards the parent. Likewise, Krishna's role in our life, or the role of Super Soul in our life, is that he wants to give us shelter. He wants to provide for us. He wants to take care of us. He wants to help us and guide us. And he expects that we put ourselves in the situation, or we put ourselves in that mood that I want to depend on Krishna. I want to take help of Krishna. I want to be guided by Krishna. I want Krishna to become the hero and my protector, right? Let Krishna be given this opportunity. So for that, for Krishna to exchange that rasa with us, that mellow with us, where he gives us protection and we depend on him for protection, Krishna also puts us in those situations in life where we'll be forced to depend on him for protection, so that he can exchange that feeling with us, that rasa. And that gives pleasure to Krishna. And that also gives pleasure to the devotee. That the devotee feels, oh, Krishna protected me. I was protected by Krishna. Krishna was so kind that he protected me. He gave me attention. He helped me. And just when the devotee, muses upon what all Krishna did to protect him or her, it increases that devotee's love for Krishna. Right? Just like Hanit Mataji put the question in the chat box. Is this why Kunti Maharani went through so many trials and tribulations? Yes, That's how the Pandavas also went through so many trials and tribulations. By putting them into trials and tribulations, Krishna was actually increasing their love for him. And Krishna was also giving himself opportunities to show his love for them. Right? Krishna was doing that. Otherwise, if there would not be any problem, why would Krishna need to bother to take care of them? Okay, you are good, very nice. I'm also good. Stay good. But then because they were into trouble, Krishna had to devise so many means. How can I help them? How can I help them? And he went beyond limits to help them. And this increased the love of Pandavas, that the Supreme Lord is doing so much to help us. He's going beyond, the limits. So that is really, really kind of him. And Krishna is doing that with them. Krishna will also do that with us. Then only our love for Krishna will increase. Because love only increases with exchanges, with experiences. If there is no experience, if there is no exchange, how will love increase? There has to be tangible exchange, right? If there is no coming together, if there is no exchange, there is no giving and taking, love cannot increase. It only becomes stagnant. So for love to increase, this kind of dealing should go on. And the dealing is very simple. Krishna is the protector. I need to be protected. So there has to be a situation where Krishna has to protect me. And that situation means I'll be put into problem. Then only Krishna can protect. The hero cannot show his heroism if the heroine doesn't get into trouble. Only when the heroine gets into trouble, the hero can show his heroism. Similarly, God can show his heroism only when his devotees get into trouble. Right? So if Krishna has to become the hero of my life, then Krishna has to put me in trouble. Then he can become the hero of my life. Then only he can come and save me or protect me or help me. Otherwise, it won't function. So bhakti is a very deep science, actually. If we superficially look at it, we won't understand. But if you look at it, understanding what love is and how love develops, you'll come to know that actually bhakti is a big science. It is a very personal thing. Krishna really, really personally deals with you and your life. So more problems, then we become more close to Krishna. If we see it properly, right? And this is not going to happen for non-devotees. Non-devotees, more problems mean more punishment by Maya because of sinful activities, right? But for a devotee, more problems means more mercy of Krishna. Because there is no sin left. By chanting Hare Krishna, by doing pradikshina of Tulsi, by taking darshan of deities, by eating Mahaprasadam, by going to holy dhams, sin is finished. Finished. Why there has to be any more sin? Only little prarabdha is left. Because if that won't be left, the body won't be there. So now problems are coming in life means problems are purposefully planted by Krishna in our life. So that we become more closer to Krishna. Right? So, and because Guru is a representative of Krishna, just like Krishna gives us problems, Guru also puts us into difficulties. So that our faith is tested, our sincerity is tested, and we are able to make progress. We'll stop here. Any questions or comments? Yeah, I'll share the PDFs in the group. Okay, so no questions. We'll stop here. See you next week. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If you have not started reading the book, you can start reading the book. Because I don't cover all the points in the class. If you have already started, okay, very nice.
Prabhuji, I have a question. Prabhuji.
Oh, yes.
Who is Mahapurusha? Srila Prabhupada sent a letter to him from Los Angeles in 1968.
Mahapurusha is the name of one of the disciples. So Prabhupada, so many disciples here. So Mahapurusha is one of the names, one of the disciples. He sent a letter to him. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.